Well, after 9 episodes, we finally see how the Cowboy fits into all of this. Hey guys, camera for Preacher, Season 1, Episode 9, finished this on, and holy shit what an episode this was. I mean, I knew this was going to be a pretty big episode since it was the penultimate episode, and next week is the finale, and there were a lot of things they had to connect, but they really are starting to connect everything. I have to say, everything's really starting to make sense, and like I told you guys, I knew that after this, that in the finale, they would connect the Cowboy arc, and I was right, as you guys saw. I knew it. I knew they would do it the way they did here, and honestly, I don't think they could have done it better, and especially the way that they go in this episode, you don't really see it coming. Now, the entire episode, of course, wasn't about the Cowboy. It was also about things going on with Jesse. We had some really big moments here, but this was by far, for me, the best episode since episode 6. I absolutely love this episode. Last week's was great, but this week was just so much better. I mean, really, that's the best way I can compare it. I mean, last week's episode was great. This one's just that much better. I love this episode. Thought it was so great. And I cannot wait for next week's episode, which I believe is 90 minutes. And let's get into this episode because there's a lot to talk about. We start off, we see a man is singing a mournful song in the Ratwater Saloon when the writer returns. And the preacher welcomes him, saying the town takes all kinds, even the butcher of Gettysburg. And something that I really love about the character of the Cowboy is the way that they just have developed this character. I mean, this character hasn't had many lines, and we know so much about him. The writer says that the preacher asked the writer to proclaim his love for Jesus, and the Cowboy says that he loves his horse, his wife, and his daughter. And what this tells us right away, just in that very little scene, he no longer believes in God. He no longer believes in God. He drops the heads of children on the floor, and it's such a brutal scene. You know, they now know he killed all these children. We realize he did, in fact, kill those children. Tells the man to finish the song, shoots everyone in the saloon except for the singer. He slices off the singer's head. Such a well done scene too, just the slow motion, everything. Slice off the singer's head. The saloon shakes as a storm engulfs Ratwater, and it was just a great way to start things off. And as we know, you know, when a preacher, eventually what happens to a preacher is they explode. I think we were supposed to believe that that preacher exploded. And again, just that little line last week, we now know what that all means. I thought that was a fantastic way to start things off. Absolutely love that, and just perfectly set up for the rest of the episode. But what I really love is, like I said, they finally connected the Cowboy to all this. Really, you can tell there's definitely something that's going to happen there. We don't see the Cowboy again until the end of the episode. I just thought this was a really great stuff to see. I still was a bit confused as to what's really going on here, because at this point, I didn't think they were going to connect it. I thought what was going to happen is that this was going to be a separate story that we're telling, is that we're just going to see these two separate stories unfold. This is like the climax of that story, then it'll end in the finale. But I really don't think that's the case after this episode, and I really have to give it for Graham McTavish. I mean, he really has done an incredible job with this character, especially who hasn't uttered many lines, and really, we just know so much about him. I really love what we got here, and really, like I said, sets up for an amazing finale for the rest of the episode. So, in the sheriff's car, Jesse's with Root, and right off the bat tells Root that he sent Jesse to hell. And obviously, we know how much this has affected Root. I mean, Root even said last week that even though him and Eugene, you know, weren't always on the best of terms, you know, he still loved Eugene. And Root warns Jesse of the poor treatment of a child murderer receives in the state penitentiary. Because, yeah, I mean, anyone for that matter, you kill a child, you're going to be in jail. And Jesse apologizes, and it seems like at this point he's ready to surrender. He's ready to just take himself to jail because he knows deep down that what he's doing is wrong. But at the same time, he's such a, you know, he's such a stubborn character that he just won't get rid of his powers because he feels that they're doing him good and that they will help him with the church. And I've talked about this before. A lot of people have said Jesse has become very unlikable. I would disagree. I think Jesse's just become very unsufferable because deep down he knows he doesn't want these powers, but there's just something that's drawing him to it. And he apologizes, says that he'll see the sheriff on Sunday. He jumps out of the moving car, and he's basically ready to go to jail at this point. So Root gets out, looks for him, but Jesse is gone. So you don't really know where he's gone, if he's actually left him, but really great scene. Really like the way that was done. And again, just Root knowing that his son is dead. It's really sad, especially since we know the history that Root had with Eugene, which was not the best one. Deblanc and Fiore then walk into a travel agency looking to take a trip to hell, and a travel agent covers the blinds, makes the arrangements. Now, there is a key reason why they're going to hell, but we don't know what that is till a little bit later on. But I thought this was just really well done. And the way they've shown hell, I think, is just really cool. It's kind of like this hell to them is kind of like this control room, and we realize that that control room is eventually going to play a role in next week's episode. We just don't know what it is yet. So Emily comes to Tulip's place, and Tulip tells Emily that Cassidy is a vampire, and I'm like, Cassidy has to be alive, right? We realized finally what that dog was all about. This is the reason why the episode is better for me, is that last week's episode, I didn't really get what the point of that was. Here, it makes perfect sense. Basically, she says that he's a vampire, but he's not healing, and Tulip has in fact been feeding animals to Cassidy to nurse him back to health, and I love that just in those very few moments we realize that Cassidy's alive. Now, I didn't think they'd actually kill Cassidy off. Like I say, he's like the second main character. There's no way they're going to do that. But she gives Emily the rundown, makes to leave, and this is really what I wanted last week. I mean, last week they made it seem like everyone just left Tulip, and no, it shows that she does still have a relationship with Emily, and they still are friends, and Emily starts to fill in on the trouble Jesse is in, but Tulip says she doesn't care anymore, and that she literally says she's done with Jesse, and that Jesse can be Emily's boyfriend now. She's given up, and honestly, I don't blame Tulip. She's tried so many times throughout the season to get him back into his dastardly criminal ways, and he doesn't comply. He doesn't comply. He wants nothing to do with her, and she's just given up, and honestly, I don't blame her for doing that. I like that she's given up, because you know what? It makes this not a love triangle. There's no Tulip likes Jesse, but he likes them. There's not a love triangle more. She literally says, go be with Jesse. Now, do I think that she's going to make this decision forever? No. I think she's probably going to try out something with Cassidy. It's not going to work, but we'll have to see where that goes. But that's the kind of stuff I like with Tulip, is the Tulip that knows what she wants very well and makes decisions for people. That's the side of Tulip I want to see every week, and that's definitely a side we see in this episode. So Emily says that she's seeing the mayor. Emily asks where Tulip is going, and she says she's going to kill a man in Albuquerque, and I thought that was just so awesome. I love that we saw that, and just knowing that Tulip is probably going to kill someone at the end of this episode. I mean, you don't really know who she's going to kill, but she has this urge to kill, you can definitely tell, and I feel like when building up to this, is Tulip just ready to kill, because she hasn't really killed anyone this season, but you can just tell, you know, it's not like Cassie who's flat out killed so many people, but she hasn't killed as many people. I think the thing with Tulip is that she's been waiting, and now that she's gotten the chance, now she's gonna kill. So Jesse gets the cuffs off his wrist. He shares a meal with two homeless people under a bridge. Interesting scene, definitely, because you can tell he's trying to make a run for it. He really doesn't want to be a criminal, but Emily then hears noises coming from Cassidy's room, and Miles calls to tell Emily that he's good with picking up her kids. Emily hangs up to go feed Cassidy. She peeks in afterwards and sees Cassidy wounded and feral, and I like that Emily knows pretty much everything that's going on. The only thing she doesn't know about is Jesse's powers, but there's probably things she does, because like I said, in that scene last week, we started listening in, so I'm pretty sure that Emily knows what's going on. I like that there's no more hiding anymore, that Emily's no longer just the human of the show. She plays a much bigger role in that. I think they've done a very good job with doing that to her over the past few episodes. Ever since episode 6, she's played a marginally bigger role, and I really do like seeing that. So she sees Cassidy. He's very wounded and feral. He's also, you know, kind of paralyzed and things like that. You know, he's got really bad burns on him, so he's a bit wounded, but I thought that was definitely very well done scene. I really like that, seeing Emily, seeing Cassidy, but she's not really scared of him. She just sees him, and she's not scared, you see, which is interesting. So Deblanc and Fiore then pack their truck. Deblanc considers calling heaven and begging for mercy, but Fiore and he worry that heaven will separate them forever, because that's just not where they belong. They flip a coin, and it comes up hell, but they flip again, and it comes up heaven. So you really don't know where they're really going. So Fiore goes for their phone, but it's gone, and it seems they're going to hell after all, because they've lost the heaven. You know, they've lost the heaven, so it seems like they're going to hell, and we still don't really know why they're going here, and why they are is a lot more interesting, and I'll get into that. So Jesse has the phone. He's hiding from the police, and again, I think he wants to hide. You know, he has his own purpose. He doesn't want to accept the fact that he killed Eugene, and Cassidy calls out for more food. Emily hears him, but approaches the door without an animal, and we see King Cannon oversees wrestling match between two of his men. Miles is in the circle watching when Emily calls and asks him to come help her, sounding panicked and like she's under attack, and Miles arrives at Tulips and searches for Emily. He walks into Cassidy's room, and Emily comes up behind him and locks him inside. Cassidy devours the mayor. Crazy scene the way that was going, but he literally devours the mayor right then and there. I thought that was insane that we saw that, that he just devoured him, but you can tell, obviously, he was really annoying Emily, so basically he's dead, so Emily doesn't have to worry about him anymore. About that scene with Emily is I think it's kind of showing that she isn't really with Jesse anymore. She's going to be on Tulip's side. It really shows, I think, where she's going to be next scene. She's going to be on Tulip and Cassidy's side. She's going to help out Cassidy, and I definitely really did like that. So really good stuff there, and especially when he's begging for food, it just shows that she's not afraid of him. She's going to give him food, and I thought that definitely was really well done. I really enjoyed that. Root is then called to investigate Fiore and Deblanc's room after they've gone, and it's still devastated from the brawl with the Seraphin, of course, from Sundowner, and Root finds the Seraphin in the tub with his hands and legs cut off. She begs him to kill her, and he strangles her to death. Such a well-done scene, because you can tell he doesn't really want to, but again, he does, and the Seraphin reinvigorates behind him, leaves the room, because as we know, whenever you kill the Seraphin, it just reinvigorates, and even though he killed her, she's not dead, so the Seraphin's still out there and probably is still going to go after them at some point, which I do like seeing the way they connected that there. I thought was very well done, and even though Root didn't really know what's going on, he just knew that he needed to kill her, and he gave in, and of course, when you give in, it just reinvigorates. So Deblanc and Fiore get on their distant visa bus, present their papers, and they're forced to leave their trunk behind, we see. Now, we don't know why, but they're forced to leave it, and Emily's then letting the remaining animals free when Jesse shows up, and she tells him that Cassidy's inside. So he goes inside. You can pretty much tell the entire episode's leading up to Jesse finding Cassidy, but she tells him Cassidy's inside. He goes inside, finds the pile of carcasses, including Miles, and Cassidy tells him to go away, that he's not safe. Jesse says that he's not going anywhere. You know, nothing really phases him. He's seen everything, and he says he let Cassidy see the worst part of him, and he's sorry, and he needs to apologize. And Cassidy reminds, and I think this just shows that Jesse is not an inhumane character. He does have humanity in him, and Cassidy reminds Jesse what he did, eventually put him out, and that's what matters, and Cassidy wonders what they should do. Jesse asks Cassidy what he would do if Jesse had killed the mayor, and Cassidy says that he'd help him get rid of the body, so Jesse agrees to help him do that. Jesse is reminded that he needs angel hands to use their phone, and Cassidy says that he can get them for him. And this is really where I think Season 2 is headed, is Cassidy and Jesse trying to get angel hands, you know, him trying to get these angel hands so he can use the phone and everything, and that I'm looking forward to seeing if that actually does happen. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing if they can get the angel hands for Jesse. Definitely, I think that's going to be very interesting to see. I'm looking forward to seeing if he can really, might be able to use their phone, because we've seen before, Fiore and Deblanc have told him he's more powerful than God, so I'm assuming if he gets these angel hands, he will, in fact, be more powerful than God, and he'll have that in him. So we'll have to see where that goes. That's going to be very interesting. Jesse then calls Tulip, gets her voicemail. He tells her that he had pancakes that morning, and it reminded him of one of their adventures. He's that for him, and it's just her. And till the end of the world then hangs up, and it's a very nice scene, because deep down, you know, he really does care about her, but she, of course, wants nothing to do with him. She's in Albuquerque with Carlos. She's got him all tied up, ready to kill him, and that's the man she's gonna kill. I was freaking out that it was Carlos, but she's gonna kill Carlos. I think that definitely is very interesting that she's gonna kill Carlos there. And we'll have to see if she actually goes through with it next week, or if Jesse's voicemail is going to pull her back in. Is she going to get a call from Jesse? Is she going to answer that phone? I mean, we don't really know what's going to happen there. But, of course, Carlos, we know, that was the man who wronged those two. That was the thing that caused the relationship to go downhill, as we know. So I think that definitely is going to be very interesting, the way that all goes down. I mean, he deserves it, definitely. You know, he's the one that ruined their relationship. But I feel like she feels that the thing that ruined their entire relationship was Carlos, and I think she definitely is going to kill him. We'll have to see how that goes, so that's going to be very interesting. But really great way to start things, but it's not the end of the episode, because then we get an extended scene with the Cowboy. We pretty much see everything that we've seen with the Cowboy so far. Basically to show that everything we've seen is finally coming together, because his entire life repeats pretty much. The entire journey to Bratwater, his stay at the saloon while waiting for the medicine. He has the conversation with the preacher, witnesses the rape, gets the medicine, leaves the morning after, turns around, heads back. And again, I think it just shows just how great they developed this character in just 3 scenes. And he's being down again. The preacher kills his horse. He walks back home to find his dead family. He journeys back, tells the singer to finish the song, kills everyone in the saloon, you know, pours himself the shot. Storm comes back, consuming the world around him, and he finishes his drink, and it starts all over again, repeating just like before, over and over. And it really is crazy. We don't know why this is happening, but just we keep seeing it over and over again. Every time it just seems like it's just repeating. Everything is just keeps going, and we see him, you know, with the kids and everything, trying to get the medicine. It's just a really well done scene, because we're just realizing why we saw all this. And finally, this time we see as the world stops shaking, a door opens, and we realize finally what his true purpose is. Why is he really here? We finally realize Deblanc and Fiore walk inside, and they were the ones that they were going to see him. That's where they were going, and they find the massacre. We realize that this is hell, and they offer the writer a job in return for his freedom from hell, and he asks what the job is, and Deblanc tells him to come with them to find out, and the man shoots him. Fiore tells the writer they want him to kill a preacher, and yes, pretty much what I thought is going to happen happens here, and that the cowboy is there to kill Jesse. That's what he's going to do. They're going to try to get him to kill Jesse. Obviously, because they want his power, he's not giving it to them, so he's going to go after him and try to kill him. The thing is, he's not going to be successful, obviously, because Jesse's the main character, so what is the cowboy's fate going to be? Is he going to be killed? Is Jesse going to offer him something else? I mean, Jesse's a very easily persuasive figure, definitely. Someone that you can easily agree with and will definitely is good at persuasion, definitely. So, I don't really know what's going to happen here, but that's so... I can't wait to see where that goes. So interesting. I can't wait to see what happens there. But then we see at the end of the episode, Jesse and Cassidy dig up Fiore and Deblanc's old bodies to take their angel hands, and then dumps Miles and the animal bodies inside the grave to fill it up, basically completing everything that happened. We see, because Fiore and Deblanc are pretty much dead, they think, but they're not dead, as we know. They're in hell right now, but they think they're dead, so they're going to try to take their angel hands, and they dump Miles and the animal bodies inside the grave, fill it up. They have no idea what Fiore and Deblanc have up their sleeve. They have no idea that Fiore and Deblanc just sent someone to kill Jesse, but that is the way the episode ends. Such a good ending, but let's get into next week's predictions overall. So, wow, they really set up a ton of stuff for the finale. Like I said, next week's finale is, I believe, like 90 minutes, and it definitely needs to be, because there's a ton of shit that happened in this episode, and I can't believe everything that went down here, especially with the cowboy. We know the cowboy's not going to kill Jesse, so is Jesse just going to straight up kill the cowboy, or is he going to offer him some sort of deal? Knowing Jesse, I think he's going to offer him some sort of deal. Now, what that deal is going to be, I have no idea, but definitely something is going to go down between Jesse and the cowboy. I just don't really know what that said deal is going to be yet, but we'll have to see what happens there, because that's going to be very interesting as to what he sets up and what ends up happening with that. As far as Tulip, is Tulip really going to kill Carlos? I mean, we don't really know. She has Carlos in the room. Is she actually going to kill him, or is Jesse going to be the one to pull her back in? I mean, she feels this is the man that ruined their relationship, so it totally makes sense. But as we know, she's kind of done with Jesse right now, so can Jesse actually pull her back in? You know, I don't really know what's going to happen there, if he can actually pull her back in, or if this really is the end for them. I don't really know. We'll have to see, because I think that definitely is going to be very interesting where that happens. As far as Jesse and Cassidy, are they actually going to get Fiore and Deblanc's angel hands? Because obviously, they're not dead. We know they're in hell, and we know they're there to find the cowboy. So they're definitely not dead, and they're going to reinvigorate. As we know, when you kill them, they just reinvigorate. So they probably are going to come back at some point. You know, they're not going to get their angel hands, but I feel like that is going to be a plot where they're going to be our main villains. And like what I like about this is that they've been our villains all along. Thing is, though, Jesse really is our villain here in many ways, mainly because of the fact that Jesse isn't a good guy, isn't really a good guy in many ways, but he's not a bad guy either. I've talked about this. He's just a very persistent and stubborn guy that just won't listen to reason. You know, he always has to do things for his church, and all this stuff matters for his church, so we'll have to see where that goes. I like the direction we're going with Emily. I like that Emily now, you know, she is now knows everything. She knows Jesse, she knows what's going on with Cassidy. I don't know if she knows that Jesse's a preacher, though. I think she kind of does, she just hasn't really talked about that yet, so, I mean, I don't know if she knows about Jesse's powers and everything, so I don't really know if that's gonna happen. We'll have to see what happens with that. As far as Root, where is Root headed? I mean, he just set the Seraphin out, so I'm assuming the Seraphin is coming back after Jesse, because that's how this whole thing started. The Seraphin came after him, and it's probably after Fiore and Deblanc too. Overall, I'm assuming a huge Western-type shootout next week. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen. I think, like I said, the Cowboy, we've gotten very much a Western-type story from, and with the Cowboy headed to kill Jesse, I'm assuming that we're going to see a shootout between these two. Now, I don't know what that shootout's going to be or when that's going to take place, but that definitely is going to happen next week, and I can't wait to see the way that that goes. Also, who else does casting need to be fed? I mean, obviously, it's kind of like Little Shop of Horrors, where you feed him more blood, and he'll just get stronger, so I don't really know what's going to happen there. That's going to be very interesting. But overall, guys, absolutely love this episode. Love where the rest of this season is headed. I cannot wait for the finale. It's going to be incredible, I'm sure. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode, left your thoughts on it. I absolutely loved it. And we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Girl Meets World. Yes, Ski Lodge Part 2 leaked online. I know that. It's on Watch Disney Channel. I watched it already. I'm going to watch it a second time just to dissect a few things, and then I will review it for you guys. I promise I will. And then we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.